Wrapped up spring practice today with our full house backfield of Lewis Nix, Stephon Tuitt, and Tyler Stockton. Worked on the triple option out of that. Thought we had great progress. And then did a little shotgun snapping to Lewis Nix. We found out that he's not very good at that. But so that was most of the practice today. Hopefully this goes across the country and Temple is able to pick up on this stuff. But again, from us standpoint, we used Monday because we went Friday, Saturday, back to back. We used Monday as our non-padded day, and got some specific things that we want to do game plan wise for our opener on Monday. And then today we really focused on a traditional practice. Had some contact today, and again focused in on some of the things that we want to really accentuate offensively and defensively that we felt like we had picked up from our off-season study and implemented those things over the last week. And today we wanted to get a look at some of those things that are going to be part of what we do offensively and defensively. So good spring. We've got a few guys that won't compete, nothing serious. The three shoulders, obviously. When I say the three shoulders, that's Fox and Barati and Bennett Jackson, certainly Houndshell as well. Those guys will not compete. Amir Carlisle was in pads today, but we will not put him in a contact situation. He tried to talk himself into that. We're not going to let him. He's only 4 weeks on Tuesday, so he's looked really good. He's got a lot of work over the last couple of days. He's done a really good job, but he will not compete. Corey Robinson has a hyperextended elbow. He was at practice today, but he's limited, so we probably won't contact him on Saturday. I think that's, you've got the three plus Houndshell, Amir Carlisle, Corey Robinson is 6. I don't know if I had a 7th. Do you guys know?
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown's good. Daniels is good. Lowood's good. Here, I got the 7th. Hold on. I just want to get it in so you guys have that, and then we'll put it on our program as well. Excuse me 1 second. I wrote those names down and I forgot one. I'm missing one.
While you're looking it up, what is going to be the format for this?
Yeah, it'll be. Can you wait there 1 second? Can I get this done first? Jeez Louise. I already covered injuries. I thought you'd be all right. Fox, Barati, Jackson, Robinson, Amir Carlisle, Houndshell. Tyler Plants. Those are the 7 guys that will not compete. Okay, it'll be offense, defense, the format. I know it's the thrilling scoring system that you all wait for, but it'll be the similar format that we had last year. We just don't have the numbers. It's hopefully I'm standing here next year at this time with a full stock of offensive linemen and DBs and wide receivers. That's really holding us back from splitting the squads up into a true, blue-gold scrimmage. The defense will be in blue this year, which is a change, and the offense will be in white. There will not be any live ST, though we will punt it, so you'll get a chance to see Brinza punting the football, and there won't be any live field goal extra point. That's the format. We'll have everybody on the sideline, same sideline. And really try to create a game day atmosphere, especially for a lot of the young guys. I want them to go through pregame. I want them to go, through the tunnel. I want them to get into a game-like atmosphere. The game will probably be stop clock in the first half, probably run in the second. We've got a window of a couple hours that we've got to, take care of. But, we'll play that by ear as well. Other questions relative to the format of the game?
Is there anything that you expect to see in the game that you haven't seen in the first 14 practices?
Oh, absolutely. I think when you get into a game situation, you're looking for a flow, You know what I mean? You're looking for, certainly for me, I think if you remember last year, I think that the offense was sloppy. The ball was on the ground, missed timing on handoffs, and I really want to see a clean game from the offensive perspective. And there's a lot of guys that are going to get a chance to compete for the first time in a longer format defensively, especially in the you're going to take a look at Shoemate, you're going to take a look at Isla Hardy, you're going to take a look at from a defensive standpoint, Jared Grace, Ben Council. So I think there's a lot to look at individually, defensively. Structure will be the same, and I think offensively, I want to get out of it feeling that we've really made that next step from an offensive standpoint in terms of continuity and execution.
Now the games are televised and people across the country can see games. Do you hold back maybe differently than maybe you would have 3 or 4 years ago?
I think everybody, look, you can get on YouTube and get anything. I really just, we're going to obviously not show a Temple game plan.
Right.
And if there's some things there that we don't show, but we're going to run what we run offensively at I just don't think there's a ton of secrets anymore. I think, you're not going to see us run a lot of game plan kind of things, but we're going to run what we run.
Coach, you mentioned Corey Robinson, and we just see sample sizes, but in those samples, he makes a great catch every time. What does he need to do to get in the rotation next year, besides kind of games that we have, I guess?
Yeah, I just think, he's not going to be ready at any time where we want him next year, but he's certainly somebody that can help us win football games in a role. So he's going to be a role player, kind of like Chris Brown was. And you could say, hey, Chris helped us win a game against Oklahoma. So I think that's how you got to look at Corey Robinson. No, he's not a finished product yet. He's got to get bigger. He's got to get stronger. But he does have a skill set. When you throw that ball near him, he comes down with it. So I think there's a place for him in our offense. But, he wouldn't be a featured guy like a Daniels might be.
With the success he had last year, what's the next step for Prince Shempo? What does he have to do next year, building off of last year?
Well, I think probably third down, is big for him, in the sense that, he was our nickel rusher for us. I think continually getting after the quarterback is what we need from Prince. And then in our base defense, probably pass coverage, those two areas. So there's some work there left for him. I think what he brought out last year consistently was, a readiness. He was ready to play each and every week. But I think there's another level for him in our third down nickel package as a pass rusher. And I think that there's definitely room for improvement in his coverage skills at the cap position.
Brian, early in the spring, you talked about playing at tempo with this offense. Everett's got larger knowledge base. Where does that stand now? Without giving away trade secrets, is it something you want to do Cincinnati-esque, or do you want to be able to downshift out of that sometimes?
I think what I want to be able to do is go into the Temple game, and if we have to play fast the whole game, that we can. I believe that we're really close to doing that. I'll let the game kind of dictate how we play in terms of what we need in that game, but I want to get into it. I want that to be part of the toolbox, if you will. It wasn't part of the toolbox last year. I want that as an offensive tool that we can go into a game at any time and change how we play the game. We couldn't do that last year. I believe we're close to being able to do that this year.
Brian, talking to Zach Martin last week, he said he thought there was more hitting this spring than previous. Was there, and if so, what was the reasoning behind that? What were you trying to accomplish?
Well, there were more positions that we needed to evaluate through contact, in particular tackling on the back end, the safety positions, linebacker. And then we had a battle, at center and guard that we really needed to see some contact in those positions. We couldn't avoid it. I think this team required it more than maybe last year's team. We had some real established players in terms of, the Manti Te'os and the Tyler Eiferts, and, that group was much more established. So the contact was out of, one, putting those guys in individual battles, live battles, and then two, I think this is a different team than last year's, which in my opinion needed more of those contact situations.
Brian, we focus on starters and depth charts a lot, but among your reserves over the last 14 practices, are there guys that you've seen move from maybe a question mark in your mind, or you're just not sure what you have, to, okay, this is a functional depth guy now, this is a guy that could help us compete, help us win?
I would say guys like Eiler Hardy really stepped up this spring and showed that he's ready to take on more. I think that Tyler Stockton has shown that he can probably take some reps for us. Tony Springman, Connor Hanratty can definitely step in and take some play for us. Alex Welch. I think those guys probably stand out to me in a sense that they can go in there and that we're already part of the program, that can go in and take some reps for us right away.
One of specific early enrollee, Elmer, in terms of the size that he brings as an early enrollee, he's pretty unique. What do you really see from him over the last 3+ weeks?
He's a physically, you mentioned his gifts. He plays 11 on 11 pretty good. Generally, those guys that are big, physical, young kids, they look really good, you know what I mean? But they don't play the game as well. He plays 11 on 11 football pretty good. He's got good instincts. He understands front side, back side combinations. He's still work in progress, and obviously as a pass setter. But in the run game, he's pretty accomplished. So I think he's surprised us a little bit in that he's shown a pretty good sense and awareness how to play the game at that position outside his physical abilities.
And speaking of offensive linemen, how many guys, where do you feel you are in terms of guys that could play winning football for you? Is Haggerty in that mix?
Haggerty's in that mix. I think you're talking about Stanley, you're talking about Haggerty, you're talking about Hanratty, and you're probably right on the fringe of talking about Elmer there too. He's going to need some more work, but he's made some really good progress. I think those are the guys that you're talking about, plus your 5.
Were you able to evaluate Ron Stanley like on the right side and then Christian and guard, or are you satisfied with what you have?
No, we were able to do that, and there'll be some more there because we didn't turn up the contact for Stanley until the last 10 days. We were really cautious with him, and he went in there and looked really good. So I think what you're going to see is, Ronnie and Christian and, obviously Connor, that we're going to have to let that thing continue to develop for us.
Seems like everyone knows what you'll get out of Tommy Reese, but how's he handled this spring just in terms of having more of an established role of the same in the quarterback depth chart?
Really well. Continues to do the right things and throwing the football down the field, making good decisions, just solid, good leader, good demeanor, just what you would hope for from a fourth-year player in your program and who's totally bought in to what his role is.
Brian, the last time we talked to you, someone asked you about Chuck Mark calling offensive plays, and you related that it was your sense that would continue in the fall. How does that make you a better team, and how does that change your role on game day if you go ahead with this?
Well, it'll keep me involved in, the offense, and in a sense of how I want the game to unfold. So I'll still manage the game in a similar fashion. That won't change. I think that helps us in that I can focus on winning the game and not being caught up in play calling. And sometimes the emotions of play calling takes you away from, the bigger picture, how we're going to win this football game. So I'm I'm very confident that that's going to be a positive in helping us win. And then there's just such a similar sense of how the game's going to be called, because Chuck really was doing a lot of that last year anyway. So I don't see that there's going to be much change there. I'm able to focus a little bit more on some other areas other than just play calling. I think that'll be ultimately the area where I think we can improve and help us win.
Coach,
When you get outside, up into your right, when you get outside like this, you get a rare opportunity.
I know,
so
very
far,
rare.
Are you able to, sort of accomplish things that you're not able to do when you're in there?
A little bit more. I think, you've got much more space to get some drill work done and, pushing the football down the field and not having to worry about running into people. So I think there's a little bit more of a sense of freedom to be able to go do what you want to do. And I just like the quarterbacks in the offense being out in the elements, because it's harder to hear. They really got to be locked in. So I like that atmosphere. So I think it's more about communication and doing a better job on both sides of the ball when you're outside.
Do you know how many practices this is?
I think this was our third. Yeah. So we'll have 4 with the game. So not much, unfortunately.
You
Coach.
decided earlier in the spring that you wanted to get your frontline players more involved with the special teams. Do you feel confident with the depth that has been building that you can pursue that in the fall? And among the younger guys like Ontario, do you see a major role for them?
I do. I think all those guys will have a significant role, and we made that part of our spring practice. But we're also going to bring in a number of freshmen that I'm certain are going to be involved in special teams, especially some of those bigger body guys. You got, Deeb and Randolph, and obviously Jalen Smith. Max Redfield. Just to name a few. I'm not, we got some guys coming in, some DBs, and Butler and Kinlaw. I think there's going to be an influx of talented guys that can help us in that area as well.
Coach, when it comes to the linebackers, Spawn may be outside, could be inside. Fox isn't.
Spawn's outside.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, Spawn's outside.
So even in August, he won't ever go. Okay.
We don't really see that as an option for us with him in council. We think we've got a two-man nice rotation there.
And Jalen Smith coming in, Fox is out right now. Is the whole core kind of still TBA right now?
Well, no, I think you've got your, I think the 4 guys that we know, Calabrese obviously and Fox, for certain, and then you add Jared Grace into that, those 3 guys for certain.
And Kendall will get.
And then Kendall is your 4th guy, so, he's got to find his reps along the way. But I think that's a pretty established, and you've got Michael Deeb coming in, Joey Schmidt has done a great job, and we're really confident in his ability to, to give us some quality. We probably, he's not as big as we'd like, but he's very smart. He's on task. Assignments, he's assignment correct to everything he does. He's so there's 5-6 guys right there.
Okay.
Brian, what is it about Bob Diaco that the players seem to respond so well to?
Well, first of all, I think he's a very good communicator. So the kids know exactly where they stand on a day-to-day basis. There's no mixed messages. There's a clarity in the voice in terms of what's expected from you, how to do your job, and I think he does a great job in terms of getting all of the players engaged. Because we're certainly playing a lot of guys. Like if we tell you you're going in on the 7th play of a game, you're going in on the 7th play of the game. And I think all of those things lend themselves. And he's got a personality that the players see that is about them. It's not about him. It's about the player. So I think all those things together make him, a terrific football coach.
It's off topic, Coach, but Ernest Jones has been here for about a year, and you've had a lot of success with him in your program. What kind of an impact has he had now that he's been here?
strong impact in our program, especially, with the relationships with our players and our community service work. We really work hard at getting our players to be other-centered, not just think about themselves, but think about how they can help others. And, I think the relationships that he's built with our football players is just another step in the building of this program as it relates to, we're here to help you. We had a career day boot camp, where we had our entire football team, working on interviewing. You might think, well, your football team, why aren't you working on your NFL? Well, the NFL takes care of itself. We want to make sure we provide other things. Ernest leads that, and I think it was a piece that we needed. It's a piece that he's provided for us, and it really provides great morale for our football team.
Coach, who have you seen emerge as leaders just in these 14 practices, and going into Saturday's game? What are you looking for in that regard as far as leadership on the field?
Well, I think we've had some pretty consistent leadership offensively on the offensive line. That group has been really, it's led by Zach Martin, but O-linemen leading the pack. You know what I mean? And there's a consistency in their work ethic, the way they show up. They're a no-nonsense group. So if you can say who's your best leader as a group, it's that offensive line and the way that they come to practice every day. It wears off on everybody else. They're a no-nonsense group. They get in there, they get their work done, they expect to do well, and that kind of trickles down to some of the other guys. I really like the way that Everett has upped his leadership, from that standpoint. And then defensively, I don't know that there's been one guy, but by action, Prince Shembo's been great. And I would tell you that, when you talk about guys, Matthias Farley has been a guy that's upped his leadership. And those are young guys.
Completely off topic, but did you have any personal connections in Boston at all? Anything involved with that? What happened?
No, we were obviously, devastated with the news as everybody else was. And, so after a few hours of making calls and making sure all family and friends were safe, our next thought was to the victims. And terrible day, especially, being from Boston, growing up with Patriots Day being, kind of our holiday, if you will, as a Bostonian. And so not only the tragedy of the loss of life and the injured, but, it shakes you when that kind of private holiday that is so much Boston is shattered. It's going to be hard. A lot of people are going to take some time to get over this.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.